My friends, if you would truly learn to act as if nothing bothers you, then you must begin with the greatest discovery of all time, that you have been given complete and absolute control over your own mind. Everything else in life is uncertain. Wealth may come and go, friends may rise and fall, opportunities may open and close, but one thing will forever remain in your possession, untouched by circumstance or fate, the dominion over your thoughts. This is the one gift no man can take from you. It is the one treasure that cannot be stolen, and it is the foundation upon which all success is built. When you are tempted to allow the outside world to rattle you, pause for a moment and remember that you are the keeper of your inner citadel. No insult, no disappointment, no failure, and no adversity has the power to invade that fortress unless you open the gates and invite it in. To act as if nothing bothers you is not to deny reality, but to take command of it at the only point where you truly can, your response. And your response is born in the soil of your mind. Think of it this way: when you see a man who becomes angry at the slightest offense, who erupts in bitterness at the first sign of resistance, what you are really seeing is a man who has surrendered the keys to his kingdom. He has allowed the world to rule him. Every honking horn, every careless word from a stranger, every minor setback, these things hold power over him because he has failed to recognize his own sovereignty. But the man who masters his mind is different. He can be surrounded by chaos and yet remain calm, because he has disciplined himself to choose thought deliberately. Do not mistake this calmness for weakness. On the contrary, it is one of the most powerful forces a man can wield. When you refuse to be shaken, you disarm your enemies, you inspire confidence in your friends, and you conserve energy for the tasks that truly matter. Those who would oppose you expect resistance, they expect retaliation, they expect you to play the game of reaction. But when you refuse to participate, when you remain unbothered and unshaken, you place yourself in a position of quiet dominance. It is not easy to achieve this state, but it is worth every ounce of discipline you can summon. Begin with the small moments. When someone speaks to you with rudeness, do not answer with equal rudeness. Remind yourself, this person has no authority over my inner world unless I grant it. Smile if you can. Remain still if you must, but do not surrender your peace. When the weather ruins your plans, do not allow frustration to steal the day. Recognize that the same rain that interrupts your schedule also nourishes the earth. Choose to see the benefit, or at least choose to withhold complaint. In every circumstance, remind yourself that the decision lies with you. Will I allow this to disturb me, or will I maintain control? Over time, you will find that these small exercises build a mighty strength. The mind, like a muscle, becomes stronger with use. Each time you refuse to be disturbed, you are reinforcing the habit of mastery. Each time you pause instead of reacting, you are training yourself to remain calm when the stakes are higher. And soon, when the greater trials of life arrive, when money is lost, when friendships fail, when opportunities vanish, you will meet them with the same calmness that once carried you through smaller irritations. There is a secret here that most men never discover. It is not the event itself that disturbs you. It is your interpretation of that event. Two men may face the same insult, yet one laughs and the other burns with rage. Two men may face the same failure, yet one grows stronger and the other falls into despair. What is the difference? It is nothing more than the way they have trained their minds to respond. One has chosen mastery, the other has chosen slavery. When you realize that your interpretation creates your experience, you begin to see that nothing outside of you has the power to hurt you. Circumstances may place obstacles in your path, but only your mind can turn those obstacles into suffering. If you train your mind to see opportunity, you will find it everywhere. If you train your mind to remain unshaken, you will appear untouchable. And that appearance, that posture of strength, will draw to you the respect and trust of others. for people are always searching for a rock to lean on in times of uncertainty. Now, let me tell you a truth that has built empires and changed destinies. Your outer world is a reflection of your inner world. If you are disturbed within, it will show in your speech, your posture, your decisions, and your results. But if you cultivate calmness within, the world will conform to that calmness. Opportunities will come more easily because others sense your steadiness. Relationships will deepen because others feel safe in your presence. Success will draw near because it is magnetized by the certainty and confidence of a masterful mind. Consider how many men and women have failed not because of lack of talent, not because of lack of opportunity, but because they allowed worry, fear, and irritation to eat away at their strength. A man who spends his days in constant agitation is like a leaking vessel. No matter how much is poured in, it cannot be retained. He is drained by every trifling matter, and when the time comes to face a true test, he has nothing left to give. But the man who masters his mind, who acts as if nothing bothers him, is like a reservoir, deep, still, and powerful. He gathers strength quietly and releases it deliberately. You may wonder, how can one begin to develop this control? Begin by watching your thoughts as a guardian watches the gate. When a thought of anger approaches, do not let it pass without inspection. When fear tries to enter, challenge it at the threshold. Replace it with a thought of courage. Replace resentment with gratitude. Replace doubt with faith. This is not a task completed in a day or a week. It is the work of a lifetime. But each time you practice, you gain a little more control, and in time, this control becomes second nature. Do not underestimate the power of simple repetition. When you tell yourself often enough that you are calm, that you are unbothered, that you are in control, your subconscious mind begins to accept it as fact. And when the subconscious mind accepts an idea, it shapes your entire character around it. Thus, through deliberate thought, you can build within yourself the very quality you admire. So I say again, you have absolute control over your mind. That is your greatest gift, your most powerful tool, your one true possession. Guard it as you would guard treasure. Master it as you would master a fine instrument. Direct it as you would direct an army. For the man who has conquered his own thoughts has already conquered the world. Every man is born with a certain measure of energy, and what he does with that energy determines the quality of his life. Some men squander it on trivial battles, petty quarrels, and endless complaints. Others conserve it and direct it toward building dreams so great that they outlive the man himself. The difference lies in how one chooses to spend the most valuable currency he has, his emotional energy. If you would act as if nothing bothers you, you must first learn the art of guarding that energy with the same care that a wise banker guards a vault of gold. Think for a moment how much energy is lost in a single day when a man allows himself to be disturbed by trifles. He wakes in the morning to some minor inconvenience, a misplaced shoe, a delayed letter, a passing word of irritation from his household, and already he has surrendered a portion of his strength. As the day progresses, more irritations arrive: the traffic on the way to work, the careless remark of a colleague, the worry over what may or may not happen tomorrow. Each small disturbance takes another slice of his energy, until by nightfall he is exhausted, not because the work of the day was too heavy, but because his emotional resources were scattered in 1,000 directions. He spent his wealth on things that yield no return. But consider the man who has trained himself to remain calm, who has built the habit of guarding his emotions. The same events unfold for him. The traffic still clogs the road. The colleague still speaks harshly. The unexpected challenge still arises, but he refuses to pay them with his attention. He recognizes that every ounce of energy given to anger, to complaint, to fear, is an ounce stolen from his purpose. He chooses instead to preserve his inner resources for the work that matters most. This man arrives at the end of the day not drained, but fortified, because he has not allowed his energy to be wasted on the insignificant. Your emotional energy is not infinite. Every outburst of anger, every moment of worry, every hour of resentment drains you of the very strength you need to accomplish your definite chief aim. Imagine a businessman who spends all his capital on small luxuries, leaving nothing to invest in the enterprise that could secure his fortune. He may enjoy brief moments of comfort, but in the end he is ruined. In the same way, the man who spends his energy on grievances and irritations has nothing left when opportunity calls. He is bankrupt when life demands greatness. Guarding your emotional energy does not mean repressing it. It means channeling it. Energy itself is neither good nor bad. It is neutral, waiting to be directed. The anger that could be wasted in shouting matches can be converted into determination to improve your situation. The fear that paralyzes can be transformed into preparation. The frustration you feel can be transmuted into fuel for persistence. The key is not to let emotions leak out in destructive ways, but to discipline them so that every drop of energy moves you closer to your goal. Let me tell you a secret. People will test you, life will test you. The world is full of forces that will try to draw you into fruitless battles. You will be tempted to defend yourself against insults, to argue over opinions, to waste precious hours proving someone else wrong. But in the end, what do you gain? You lose your peace, you lose your focus, and you lose the very energy that could have been invested in something lasting. The wise man does not fight every battle offered to him. He knows that not every hill is worth dying on. He picks his battles carefully, and more often than not, he chooses to keep walking. Have you noticed how those who achieve the most seem to carry themselves with a calm and almost detached manner? They do not allow every rumor or criticism to pull them off course. They are too busy building to stop and argue with the idle. They are too engaged in their mission to be distracted by small offenses. That calmness is not apathy, it is discipline. It is the result of a conscious decision to guard their energy as a sacred resource. Think of the man who allows worry to dominate his mind. He imagines troubles that have not yet come, rehearses defeats that may never happen, and in doing so, spends today's strength on tomorrow's shadows. When at last real challenges arrive, he is too weak to meet them, for he has already exhausted himself fighting phantoms. Now, think of the man who refuses to give worry a home. He acknowledges the possibility of difficulty, but reserves his strength for solutions. He says, when the problem comes, I will meet it with all my energy intact. And because he guards his energy, he is ready and he triumphs. Guarding your emotional energy also influences those around you. People are drawn to those who radiate calm confidence. They feel safe in the presence of one who is not easily shaken, who does not waste himself on irritation. They trust him, they follow him, and they support his vision. On the other hand, the man who is constantly disturbed, who spends his energy on quarrels and complaints, soon finds himself isolated. People tire of his turbulence. They cannot build with him because he is always tearing down. Remember always that every great achievement requires a store of energy over time. The building of wealth, the creation of enterprises, the pursuit of art, the development of character, these are not the products of a single burst of effort, but of sustained energy applied steadily. To reach such heights, you cannot afford to be drained by every trivial matter. You must save your strength for the climb. You must become a guardian at the gates of your own energy, letting in only those thoughts and emotions that serve your purpose. So when life presents you with irritations, when others attempt to provoke you, when circumstances seem to conspire against you, remind yourself of this truth. Every response is a choice, and every choice spends energy, ask yourself, is this expenditure worth the return? If the answer is no, then hold your peace. Preserve your strength. Direct it instead toward building, toward creating, toward advancing the purpose that gives your life meaning. The man who masters this art becomes unstoppable, for while others exhaust themselves in endless distraction, he grows stronger by the day. While others dissipate their energy on quarrels, he concentrates his on construction. While others are drained by anger and worry, he is fueled by discipline and focus. In time, the difference becomes unmistakable. One lives a life of scattered fragments, the other builds a monument that endures. The way a man experiences life is determined less by what happens to him and more by the perspective through which he interprets those happenings. The same sun that melts wax hardens clay. The same storm that destroys one man's crop waters another man's field. The difference lies not in the event itself, but in the way it is received, in the lens through which it is viewed. If you would act as if nothing bothers you, you must learn to choose your perspective, for perspective is the master key that unlocks either misery or mastery. Every day, circumstances arise that seem, at first glance, to be obstacles. A missed opportunity, a harsh word, a closed door, an unexpected loss. Most people immediately interpret these moments as defeats. They sigh, they complain, they say, "Why does this always happen to me?" And by adopting this perspective, they create within themselves a sense of helplessness, a belief that life is conspiring against them. This belief then colors every action they take thereafter, weakening their resolve and blinding them to the possibilities that still remain. But another man, faced with the very same event, may interpret it differently. Where the first man sees defeat, this one sees a lesson. Where the first man sees rejection, this one sees redirection. Where the first man feels punishment, this one sees preparation. His perspective transforms the very same circumstance into fuel for growth. And because he chooses to view the event in this way, he responds with calmness, with resilience, with renewed determination. He acts as if nothing bothers him because he has trained his mind to see every situation not as a chain that binds him, but as a stepping stone that lifts him higher. Ask yourself, how many times in your own life have you looked back on something that once seemed unbearable and realized it was the very thing that shaped you into who you are? A loss that taught you strength, a rejection that forced you onto a better path, a failure that planted the seed of wisdom. If you can look back and recognize this truth, why not look at the present with the same clarity? Why wait until years have passed to realize that even today's burdens carry hidden blessings? Train yourself to ask in the moment, what is this teaching me? How might this serve me? By doing so, you seize the power to control your perspective and refuse to be disturbed. There is a story of two men who both lost their fortunes. The first became bitter, declaring that the world was unfair and that life had robbed him. He spent his days rehearsing his grievances, and in doing so, he drove away friends, opportunities, and even his health. The second man, facing the same loss, chose another perspective. He said, "If I built wealth once, I can build it again, and this time I will build it on stronger foundations." His loss became a lesson, and his perspective gave him strength. In time, he rose to even greater heights than before. It was not the loss itself that determined their destinies, but the perspective through which each man chose to interpret it. Perspective is a choice, and choice is power. The man who recognizes this power never again becomes a victim of circumstance. When insulted, he does not ask, "Why me?" but instead asks, "What does this reveal about my strength?" When rejected, he does not say, "I am unworthy," but instead says, "This door closed so that I may find another more suited to me." When faced with failure, He does not groan in defeat, but smiles in recognition, saying, "Here lies the seed of success, if only I have the courage to find it." This shift in perspective is the difference between being shaken by life and moving through it unbothered. And do not mistake it for blind optimism. It is not a denial of difficulty, it is a mastery of meaning. The calm man knows that life will bring storms. He knows that pain, loss, and disappointment will arrive as surely as the seasons change. But he also knows that his interpretation of those events is his to command. He cannot choose the weather, but he can choose whether to curse the rain or to plant seeds in it. Think also of how perspective shapes the influence you have on others. When people see you face challenges without crumbling, when they see you smile in the face of difficulty, they are drawn to your strength. They say, "Here is a man who cannot be shaken. Here is someone I can trust to lead." Your perspective not only guards your own peace, but also elevates the spirits of those around you. You become a source of steadiness in a world of constant agitation, and that steadiness is magnetic. Now, let us consider what happens when you choose the opposite perspective. If every difficulty is seen as a burden, if every challenge is treated as an injustice, if every obstacle is interpreted as evidence that life is against you, then soon you will be drained of all vitality. You will walk through the world with heavy steps, weighed down not by reality itself, but by the meaning you have given it. Your complaints will push away allies, your bitterness will cloud your vision, and your energy will be consumed by despair. The event itself did not destroy you, your perspective did. Therefore, discipline yourself to pause whenever adversity comes. Ask, what else might this mean? How might this situation contain an opportunity I do not yet see? By asking such questions, you open your mind to interpretations that strengthen rather than weaken you. And once you have chosen the stronger perspective, act upon it with confidence. The more often you do this, the more natural it becomes. In time, it will no longer be an effort but a habit, and you will find that you walk through life with a calmness that others envy but few understand. Remember, life is not determined by what happens to you, but by how you interpret it. Two men may endure the same storm, yet one drowns while the other builds a ship and sails to new lands. The difference is not fate, but perspective. Choose yours wisely, for it is the one thing that cannot be taken from you, and the one thing that can transform every trial into triumph. There is a power that every man and woman can develop, a power that requires no wealth, no special birthright, no title, and no permission from the world. It is the power to project confidence even when storms rage within. This is the mark of one who has mastered himself, for he understands that the way he presents himself to the world has as much influence on his destiny as the skills he has acquired or the knowledge he has gathered. If you would act as if nothing bothers you, you must learn to carry yourself with a posture of calm assurance, for confidence is both armor and magnet. Think for a moment about how people respond when they encounter a person who radiates calm strength. They lean in, they listen, they trust. They may not know why, but they feel it. That presence speaks louder than words. It says, "Here is someone who is steady. Here is someone I can follow." On the other hand, when they meet a person who is restless, shaken, or uncertain, they instinctively withdraw. Doubt repels while confidence attracts. That is the law. And this law operates whether or not your confidence is fully developed. For confidence can be projected before it is perfected, and in time, what you project becomes your reality. Some may call it acting, but I tell you, it is more than an act. It is a training. When you stand tall in the face of difficulty, when you speak calmly though fear knocks at the door, when you smile even as trials surround you, you are not merely putting on a mask. You are shaping your very character. By projecting steadiness, you are instructing your mind and body to conform to that steadiness. Soon, the posture that began as discipline becomes second nature. and the calmness that once required effort flows naturally. Consider the man who panics when trouble strikes. His words betray him, his tone wavers, his eyes dart, his posture collapses. Those around him may not know the details of the situation, but they know immediately that he cannot be trusted to lead them through it. Contrast this with the man who meets the same trouble with composure. His voice is steady, his movements deliberate, his presence unshaken. Those around him may feel fear, but his calmness steadies their nerves. They say, if he is not afraid, perhaps we need not be afraid either. Thus, by projecting confidence, he multiplies his own strength through the trust of others. Do not misunderstand. To project confidence is not to deny that difficulties exist. It is not to pretend that all is well when it is not. It is to decide that no matter what the circumstance, you will carry yourself in a way that commands respect from others and faith from yourself. It is to recognize that fear and agitation have never solved a single problem, while calm confidence has opened doors, inspired solutions, and drawn forth unexpected allies. Think of how many opportunities are lost because a man appears uncertain. He may have great ideas, but if he presents them with hesitation, no one believes him. He may hold great value within him, but if he carries himself with doubt, the world doubts him as well. On the other hand, another man, perhaps less skilled but more confident, steps forward boldly, speaks with conviction, and receives the opportunity. Confidence is not always a reflection of your current ability. It is often the cause of greater ability in the future. For when you project confidence, you are invited into arenas that stretch you, and in those arenas your true strength is developed. You must also understand that your posture of confidence affects not only how others see you, but how you see yourself. When you straighten your shoulders, lift your chin, breathe deeply, and look directly at life, you send a signal inward as well as outward. You tell your subconscious mind, I am steady, I am unshaken, I am capable. And your subconscious, which cannot distinguish between act and reality, accepts the message as truth and begins to shape your entire character to match it. Thus, the more you project confidence, the more real it becomes, until it is no longer a projection but a fact of your being. There will be times when you feel anything but confident. Fear may whisper, doubt may shout, and your inner world may tremble. But in those moments, more than any other, you must choose to project calmness. Think of the actor who, though weary, steps onto the stage and performs with energy because the audience expects it. He discovers that in giving the performance, he actually feels the energy he pretended to have. In the same way, when you project confidence in the face of fear, you awaken the very courage you thought was absent. By acting calm, you become calm. By standing strong, you grow strong. The world has no patience for endless displays of weakness. People may sympathize for a while, but eventually they look for strength, for stability, for someone who will not collapse under pressure. If you are that person, opportunities will come to you, doors will open, people will invite you into positions of responsibility, for they know you will not falter when others do. The marketplace rewards those who can be relied upon, and reliability begins with the ability to project confidence, even in the face of storms. Do not confuse arrogance with confidence. Arrogance repels because it is rooted in insecurity and the need to dominate others. True confidence is quiet, steady, and without boast. It does not need to declare itself loudly. It reveals itself through calmness, through certainty, through the refusal to be rattled. Where arrogance demands attention, confidence earns respect. The man who carries himself with quiet confidence has no need to shout, for his presence speaks more loudly than words. As you walk through life, you will be tested. Circumstances will arise that threaten to shake you. People will try to provoke you, to draw you into displays of agitation. In those moments, remember that your greatest power lies in how you choose to appear. If you appear unshaken, you will feel unshaken. If you project calmness, calmness will grow within you. And if you carry yourself with confidence, the world will eventually treat you as one who is confident. This is why the ability to project confidence is not just a skill but a necessity. It protects you from being controlled by the whims of others. It attracts allies who are drawn to your steadiness. It builds within you the very strength you display outwardly. And it allows you to move through life as though nothing bothers you, not because troubles do not exist, but because you have decided that no trouble has the power to change the way you carry yourself.